All right. Hello and welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans for Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. My name is Bill Soroka, author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent, and founder of the Notary Business Builder Advanced Notary Mastermind. I'm here with my co-host, Laura Biewer. Laura, how are you?
Well, I am good, coming to you from beautiful San Jose, California, teaching a class. I'll need to leave a little early to do part two of the training class today, but I'm glad I have a little time to spend with you all today. Announcements. So first, do I want to wait till later in the call, Bill, or should I go ahead and announce the class now?
Yeah, go ahead and do it now. We'll do it a little later too.
Okay, so this Saturday, May 7th, I believe, at 8 a.m. is Real World Training Colorado. So if there's anybody out there in Colorado land, you're next. So get ready. The link will be available, which is coachmelora.com/CO for Colorado. So that is an exciting announcement for me. And that's all I have at the moment.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Laura. I'm excited too. And just for clarification, that's 8 a.m. for Laura, but it's 9 a.m. for you.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're in Colorado, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I posted the link inside the chat for you as well. If you're in Colorado, would love to see you on there. Lots of people. And Laura, I'm about to mute because we got some people unmuted, so you'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Lots of notaries as Laura makes her way around the country with this real world training that come out more competent and more confident in their abilities in the specialty or the general notary work, like the real practical stuff that we do as a notary public. And that's really important right now, guys. If you're looking to expand your horizons, expand your revenue streams, and you want to get into the specialties, learning how to take some of your state statutes, some of that foggy grayness that we're so used to seeing, and you want to learn how to apply that to your everyday business and really be good at your job and your work so that you can overcome that fear and that little bit of insecurity. I know for me, every time the phone would ring on a general notary work call, I would get kind of tense. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to see? I don't know what I'm going to do. What if it's a weird situation? This is the kind of training that can help get you over that hump, to give you that courage to step into this, because specialty notary work, general notary work, that work outside of loan signings is real in most states. You can really build a nice revenue stream and be of more service to more people. All right. So let's jump in and get started here, guys. Tuesday Notary Titans is your time to engage with both Laura and I. It works like an old-fashioned call-in radio show, except we're on Zoom and video, hopefully. Use the raise hand feature in Zoom. Raise your hand. Tell it when we call on you. Tell us what state you're in. Give us a little bit of context if necessary, just one or two sentences, and jump right into your question. And then put yourself on mute and kick back and wait for to receive the answer. Or if Laura or I need additional information, we will ask you some follow-up questions on that. So let's jump in. I can see Linda.
Yeah.
So good to see you, Linda. I know you're in Oregon. How can we help?
Hi there, Bill. Hi there. I have two, I can't get my phone to shut off. I'm so sorry. Are you getting any feedback?
We are.
Yeah. You know, there we go. We're just going to power it off. There we go. When all else fails, pull the plug. So here's, well, I'm going to put it in another room. Okay, I'm sorry. I have two. Are you still getting it?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, I have two questions. One is I'm asking people if they're in Illinois or Missouri, if they would connect with me because I'm moving. And so I would like to have, I know, Bill. And so I would like to have their information so I can talk to them. The second thing is I got my first call for an apostille last night. And I don't know if I can do it because I'm leaving on Saturday. And I asked him what it was for, and he said it was for they're setting up a bank account in the Philippines. So my question is, would I have time to do that for them? I don't know what's all involved. I've taken Judy's class, but this is my first one. So of course, it's with great trepidation that I said yes.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your move. I hope it's for good reasons, and it will be a good move for you. And I would invite you, Linda, first or after we're done answering this, to type in your email with your request, just saying, hey, if any notaries in these two places would like to connect, and then leave your email address in the chat window.
Okay.
And then Laura, what are your thoughts on this? Will be your first apostille, correct, Linda?
Correct. I could do the notary part of it, but I'm not sure that I have enough time to do the apostille part of it with me leaving on Saturday and not knowing what all is good.
Yeah, I hear you. Laura, do you have any suggestions on that?
I have some questions first. So Linda, is it going to be a walk-in, or were you going to use FedEx? How are you planning to process it?
That is what I don't know, because I have to walk in and do the notary part of it and see them all sign the document. And then I said, depending on if it's FedEx, could it be FedEx back to them? But I'm not sure what is the interim time of getting to the state capital to take it and all that.
All right, so there's some information that you probably should know before you attempt taking on apostille. So one is, you should know what your Secretary of State's turnaround time is when it's walk-in versus mail, like FedEx, because they typically have two different time frames. If you walk it in the door yourself, typically the turnaround time is a much faster. Some are same day. Ours used to be that way. Right now, ours is running 3 to 4 days in California, but I don't know what it is in Oregon. So that's the first piece of information you need to know, is how long is it going to take? Second of all, I know that my Secretary of State, it can be FedEx directly back to wherever it is it's got to go, as long as I provide the prepaid label in the envelope for it to go back, but I can't speak for Oregon. That they do it the same way. Also, the fees may be different depending on if it's mail or if it's in person. Some states it's the same, some they treat it differently. Our state, the fee is different. So these are all pieces of information that you need to know before you can take on the job and know how long it's going to take for it to be done. So and if you're leaving this Saturday, as in 4 days from now,
correct,
I would be very nervous, because you don't have any way to follow up once you go.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So notarize it. And is there another notary you can partner with to take care of that part?
That's what I was thinking about doing, and calling him today and say, there is not enough time for me to take care of this. To note, I can notarize it for you, fine, but then we'll get another notary to do the apostille.
Yeah, I mean, there could be enough time, but you don't know the information. You don't know if you could, are you close enough that you could drive it in?
Yeah, I'm 30 minutes down the road from the Capitol.
So before you tell them anything, you should know this information. Why don't you find out?
I have to call the Secretary of State, right?
Exactly, because if they say, hey, we can do it, turn around in 2 days, if you drive it in, yes, we can FedEx it back to him, then there's no reason not to take the job. You just don't know enough information. And this is the information that anybody who's going to do apostille work should know before you say yes to any job.
That's what I needed, Laura. What do I need to ask? What do I need to be prepared to let them know? So thank you. I plan on calling the Secretary of State this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Right, awesome. Great opportunity. And Linda, we'll have to catch up soon for that, for sure. And then I love Laura's second follow-up, guys. This is the importance of networking amongst each other, right? Constantly be building your network of colleagues that you know, like, and trust. You know that they are going to service your customers to the same level that you would, and maybe they are enjoyable and they bring some other level of enjoyment to your life. You want to start building that when you don't need people, so that when circumstances do come up, you'll already have a strong network for that. And that's going to be more important than ever as you move forward, especially if you're going to get into the specialty or the notary or general realm. All right, Linda, thank you so much. Amori Brown, thank you for being here. Would you like to unmute? Tell us where you're from and how we can help.
Hi, I am from Pennsylvania, Effort, Pennsylvania, the Poconos area. And I got a loan package from South Carolina. And the wording on, I believe it was the mortgage portion that I am supposed to notarize, it was a little different. It asked me to certify their signatures. So I wasn't quite sure because I've been hearing back and forth that I am not allowed to certify signatures as a notary. So I wanted to, I guess, know if certified meant actual certified, or was that just me acknowledging their signatures on the mortgage?
Interesting.
Hmm.
Laura?
You know, I'd really have to see the notarial act. I just really can't do it with that much information.
Yeah, I was actually looking for it because I had saved that portion and I couldn't find it to actually give you
Mhm.
exactly how it was written. But
Yeah.
it was actually asking me to certify their signatures.
Yeah, there's a good likelihood the answer is no, because we don't guarantee signatures. What we do is we say, yeah, this is the guy who appeared before me because I saw something that said it was him. Certifying signatures sounds more like medallion work, where they're actually certifying the actual signature itself. So I'm leaning that direction, but I'd have to see it, the
Yeah.
whole thing, really.
And the document did come from a lawyer's office, and she was telling me that I needed to do it. I kind of, I don't know. I just know that as in the state of PA that we're not allowed to do it. So I myself attached an acknowledgement certification, and she didn't really want to accept that. So,
Well, the other question I would have for you, Maury, is are you a member of the NNA? Did you happen to call the hotline?
I did.
And what did
And
they tell you?
and they told me no as well. But
Well, there you go.
the lawyer gave me a little kickback, so I was a little, I felt a little
Yeah.
intimidated,
Welcome to the world of lawyers. Is all I can say. Don't let anybody's title bully you to do something that you know yourself, and you've even gotten verification that that's not acceptable. Period. You are the last word, and it's your signature at the end of that certificate, not the attorney's.
Yeah.
That was an excellent catch, Maury.
Yeah.
Okay.
Way to stand your ground on it.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right,
you're welcome.
Thanks for being here.
I'm going.
All right, Gia, welcome.
Thank you. I
Where
have
are
two
you from?
questions.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Where are you from?
I have two questions. I'm calling from California. Thank you all for having this again. One, I went onto the Laura's website because I wanted to see if she was going to do California in the next 2 months, or if I could possibly get one-on-one coaching. I didn't see how I would be able to do that. So if she could put a link in the comments and I can click on that, maybe sign up for the one-on-one coaching. So that's one. Number two, I had a situation yesterday where when I confirmed the signing the couple of days before, the guy had a lot of questions for me that he should have had for title and escrow that I was not able to answer because I'm not supposed to be answering those type of questions. So then 2 days later on the Sunday, he texted me and asked me for a settlement statement, which I did not give him, of course, because I did not have one. And plus, I did not have permission to give him a settlement statement. The other thing that happened was when I went to the signing, when I walked in the house, I could immediately tell the spouse was in no shape to sign anything. And so I did ask the spouse a simple question, like a general question, and she was not even able to understand me. She lacked awareness. And she seemed like she had some mental challenges. So what I did was I told him that title, I needed to contact title because they were contacting me to ask a question. I got out of there, went outside, made the phone call, And I explained it all to the NNA, to title, and then to the signing service, what was going on. So I did end up doing the signing, and she obviously couldn't sign anything. She was not able to understand. I was not able to communicate with her. The guy did end up coming outside, and I just told him that I wasn't able to sign because his spouse lacked awareness, and that's the only word that I use. So I want to know if I handled that right with him, and how have you handled something like that, just to have guidance on it, because it was super uncomfortable. And this is the second time that I haven't been able to sign somebody for something, like that.
All right, great scenario there, Laura. Do you want to? I feel like I'm just batting it over to you, but
Yeah, okay.
Too.
So I have handled situations where one spouse is okay and the other spouse is not okay. And I don't have an issue with saying, after I have had attempted to communicate with the second spouse, that there's confusion or inability to directly communicate. And I require that as a notary in order to proceed in having her sign a document that says she signed of her own free will, or he signed of his own free will. Because if you don't know what's going on, how can you say it's of your own free will? So yes, it is going to happen. It doesn't happen to me very much in loan document scenarios, although it has with reverse mortgage. Mostly it's been specialty work where I'm going into their home for particular documents. And that is part of the job. You need to be willing to say, this person is not a candidate for notarization. And will you be uncomfortable? Yeah, it's not comfortable to have to say, no, I'm not going to be able to do this. But it would be better for you to do that than to have somebody challenge documents later on, and somebody starts questioning you about why you notarized for somebody that you couldn't even communicate with. So if that was your bottom line question to all of those things that you pointed out, the answer is the right way to handle it was stop the signing.
Thank you for that. I like the verbiage, this person's not a candidate. And it's really uncomfortable when you're in somebody's house, because I had one man he got really irate with me because the woman, she didn't speak English at all. And I just said that I needed to get a person who spoke her language, that type of notary, and it was bad. So I feel super uncomfortable since that situation, saying this person's not a candidate because I'm in their home. He obviously was a little desperate because he was texting me on a Sunday, and just other things led up to me feeling uncomfortable even before the signing. So I already knew something else was going on. You can just read a situation. I've done enough of these to kind of know. So I just kind of, want to start packing my things and get up out of there, because some people, I don't know what they're capable of, and I just can feel the energy. And I felt like I needed to leave first and then tell him, but he just ended up coming outside. So, but thank you for that verbiage that you use. I will use that in the future if I need to.
You're welcome. And I think you make a great point, and that is having the phrases to say that communicate something you're not going to do is really important. Because to say, she's not competent, that's a legal term. That's not a term we can be using. But to say she's not alert and aware is a different story. That's the bar that we look at. And I think that will be helpful to you when you have to say no. But it can't stop us from saying no. When we screen a signer and we see they're not a candidate, and then pack up and go. Don't hang out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
I honor you for even recognizing that, Gia.
Yeah.
One of the most important lessons, and you probably remember hearing this from Carol Ray all the time, is trust your gut in these situations. And Gia, when these, especially in general notary work, right? Or outside the loan signings, but these desperate situations, these Sunday evening 10 p.m. calls or arrangements with all the other banks or institutions where you could verify information are all closed. Those are high risk times anyway, where you'll get questions about, oh, I lost my ID. Can you make an exception just this time? You know, my grandmother's in the hospital. You'll hear all kinds of stories, and you've got to be able to have the courage to say no and trust your instinct on those.
Thank you for that, Bill. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here. Joan McManus, welcome. Where are you from and how can we help? Joan McManus, please don't forget to, oh, there you go.
There we go. Hi, and I'm even gonna, let's see, can you see me okay? I put my camera on, but I don't, all right, video. I'm Joan McManus. I live in Ormond Beach, Florida, which is the one town north of Daytona Beach. A lot of people may know Daytona Beach. It's about an hour north of Orlando. I actually had the privilege to get certified under Carol. I went through Carol Ray's course. My condolences to everyone who's known her. She was a unique individual.
Mm-hmm.
I, about 2 years ago, did mobile closings by going to title companies. And I would spend like the end of the month when they were crazy busy, I would go from room to room to do mobile closings. I'm a licensed real estate agent, but I'm looking to hang up my hat in real estate and just focus on being a mobile. I'd really like to just stick with mobile closings. So my question is, I did sign up, Bill, for your monthly to come on board, and I haven't had a chance yet to go through all the material that you have. I want to know, like, where do I go from here? I know I need to have like a system to bill people, and I need to, I'm on a feed where I get a lot of, closing tomorrow at 10 a.m. through SnapDocs. I wrote them down here, Accurate Group, but I'm in a frozen mode right now. I don't know how I'm going to bill them. I'm so, I haven't been at a closing for a while, so
Sure.
Sorry to go on, but can you help me?
Yeah, of course, Joan. Thanks for being here. And I'm glad you're jumping back in. I'm glad you want to move forward on this. The good news is that as part of the Sign and Thrive, you have access to all of this information. So I can give you a kind of condensed version, and then just know that in phase 4 and phase 5 is probably where you're at, right? Which phase 4 is just getting more clients. Phase 5 is just managing your business.
Okay.
Because you're probably pretty familiar with the documents by this point. You've been through tons of closings. You can watch phase 3 to get more efficient at it, but you're really in phase 4 and phase 5. So this information will be for you. So there is the first thing I would recommend is probably skip into phase 5 so you can get those, anything that's a stumbling block for you, that's jamming you up, or it's diminishing your confidence, like having a way to bill people or create an invoice. Jump into phase 5 and take a look at your options there. The cool thing about this notary industry is that there's like this whole other industry that services businesses like ours. So we have accounting software like Notary Assist and Notary Gadget that literally have invoicing tools built into them. So if you have a client that requires an invoice, you have it. The other thing to think about is that a lot of times these signing companies don't even require that you send them an invoice. They track everything. Now, I still recommend that you have your own tracking system internally, but it may not be as big an issue as you might think it is, unless you're going escrow direct. In escrow direct, you're going to want to have an invoicing system. So it can be Notary Assist, it can be Notary Gadget, it can be GoDaddy Online Bookkeeping, it can be QuickBooks, it could be any number of those things. It could be a template from Microsoft Word if you really wanted it to be. So you've got some options there. And I talk about those in phase 5 of the course material too. And then what this really comes down to is getting clients. And I love that you have some escrow direct experience already with those title companies, because I think that's going to be imperative for your success in this market right now. Because, with interest rates rising, the refinance market has really gone down significantly, but purchases are up, new home builds are up, and you're in, frankly, a mecca for new home construction. You've got also, if you want to get into the specialty work, like what Laura talks about a lot, estate planning heaven in the state of Florida, right? Everybody is of a certain age, they're retiring, they're coming there for a reason. They've got a high concentration of estate planning attorneys. So you've got lots of options there to grow your business.
Okay.
Laura, did you have any other? I'm sorry, go ahead.
But what do you recommend for educating myself on the estate? You are right on that. This is, some people call Florida God's waiting room.
I've heard that. I have heard that. Yeah. So the good news is, probably some of the best, most specific training I could recommend is Laura's training. And it's part of her Laura Biewer Presents, which is, she has even a discount for people who are on TNT. I'll post that in the chat, but it's notarycoach.com/LBP. It's Laura Biewer Presents. And the coupon code is TNT, and it will save you some money on that. It's only $127 at full price. So even with the discount, I think it brings it down closer to 100. But in there, Laura gets super detailed on the specific estate planning documents, powers of attorney, last wills and testaments, living trusts, and walks you through those appointments and those documents, plus tells you how to get more of that business if you want it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, you're so welcome. Laura, did you have anything you might want to add to that?
Sorry, we had quite the kerfuffle going on right here.
Uh-oh.
So I didn't get to even hear what her question was. So thanks for taking care of it.
Okay, no problem. We were talking about you anyway, so you're good.
Yeah.
All right. All right, thank you, Joan. Thanks for being here. Daniel Brewer, great to see you from Oregon.
Hey, Bill, how are you?
Fantastic. What can we do for you today?
Okay, so last week I had 3 signings in a row. I'm part-time, so I don't usually get 3 signings in a row, but this particular day I did. My 3rd signing was actually in the hospital. So I have 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and then 12 in the hospital. My 10 o'clock signing was at this lovely lady's house down the street, where it turns out it's a smoker's house. And I was there for about 45 minutes. And I just came out of there feeling like, okay, this is not going to work for my next 2 signings. My 11 o'clock signing was outdoors, but my 12 o'clock signing I knew was going to be in a hospital. I was going to be there for an hour probably. So do I need to start carrying a full set of nice clothes in my car just for this situation?
Great question. So let me just get Keisha muted here. Sorry, Keisha, you keep unmuting, but I got to keep muting you. Okay, so I'll pass this to Laura here in just a second too, but Daniel, what I have learned and I still continue to learn the hard way, there are situations like this, and then there are situations, if you're a person like me who usually drops more of the food than he actually eats, then you're going to definitely want to have some kind of backup clothing, a hang-up shirt in the back. It's been so long since I had a smoking smell issue, but there are some homes where or even like I went to a meat packing facility once, and the smell did just kind of saturate. There was nothing I could do about that. I had to go home and change. But there's lots of times when I'm spilling stuff or get an ink stain, food stain, smoker smell, or something like that that might come through on that. So I would recommend a change of clothes for sure. Laura, any other suggestions in your experience?
Well, definitely spillage can be an issue. So personally, I've not kept, I'm trying to think, I really don't keep any extra clothes in my car unless I happen to have been to the cleaners and they're hanging there. But in this particular situation, when the smoke is that heavy, I would not have been able to conduct the signing in the house. I would have asked to gone into the backyard or the front yard or somewhere outside or the garage because I have asthma and I would not be able to last doing it. It just would have been a health concern for me, which would have also been a way to not have to be in that saturated environment for very long, to minimize how much smoke your clothing picks up. So for me, I would be moved out. I would move it outside because I wouldn't be able to be in there.
Laura, what's that conversation look like?
So I let them know as soon as I smell it, because I'll start to cough. It'll hit me right away, and I'll say, you know what, I happen to have asthma, and I would love to take care of you. Would you feel comfortable with me being in your backyard or the garage, or maybe outside on a couple chairs, so that you will understand me during the whole appointment? Because I'll start wheezing and coughing if I don't do that. I've never had anybody, because it's happened quite a few times, I've never had anybody say, no, it's got to be here in the house. Or the other thing I've done is I've said, I'd love to, can I buy you a coffee? We could just go over to Starbucks and I could use that environment instead. And I just offer to buy them the coffee. I've done that a couple of times to either McDonald's or Starbucks, or I've offered to do it outside if it looks like that could be appropriate. If it's not appropriate weather, I offer the coffee business.
That's a great suggestion. When I was first starting this too, and Daniel, this happened several times and I finally learned my lesson. But usually people who are in that environment, they kind of have an inkling, right? I've had people with pets, and maybe they're not the best housekeepers. I've had heavy smokers, but they tend to get some resistance about me coming to their home in the first place. And I used to just really insist, like, no, this is for your convenience. Let me come to your home. Let me come to your home. And they're reluctantly like, oh, okay. And then you get there and then you experience, and you're like, oh, this is why they didn't want me here. So I started respecting that. If they put up a little bit, and you can almost sense it in the text messages or in the tone on the phone. So I just honor it now. And I'll pick up on it and say, would you rather me, I noticed there's a Denny's around the corner or a Starbucks or whatever it might be. And you can feel the relief in their tone and voice.
So I mean, I carry in my car, I mean, I have an autistic son and we're in the car all the time. And I have so much stuff in my car already, including a change of clothes for myself and one for him. But the clothes I have to change into are not really appropriate for signing clothes. They're kind of my, people might call weekend clothes. It would not be tough for me to set. I mean, I guess I set aside a dress shirt and a pair of slacks, and for those situations. This particular lady had called me specifically and asked me if I would come into her home because she's in a wheelchair. So she needed me to come pretty much all the way right to, I didn't know she was a smoker, so I said, sure, I'd be happy to come over and do that for you. And I wasn't too concerned about the second signing because I knew we could do it in the parking lot of an apartment building. But then, you go into the hospital and it's, I mean, the only saving grace in the hospital is it's about 95 degrees in these hospitals right now. And so the first thing I'm going to do is shed my jacket, and I wear a colored t-shirt underneath my shirt. So I got rid of my shirt. So I was wearing a colored t-shirt, which was fine for the hospital, and tried to take at least as much of the offensive stuff out of there. I grew up as a child with two parents that smoked and did not even realize till later how awful I must have smelled going to school every day. But I have to just say that this was very awkward, and I'm not sure. I mean, I think the answer is, I think I packed some clothes and just hope I never have to need them. But I already have everything in my car, from a portable bathroom to, other stuff. So
what's an extra shirt? You got plenty.
So what's an extra shirt? And I've already got a table and chairs there.
All right, awesome.
And I know you want to move on to Debbie, but I want to say Notary Masters this Thursday at 9:30. And Notary Masters we're going to be meeting two of our members this week. We're going to be meeting Laverne from Florida and Bernice from California. And we're going to be having all lots of fun. We also have our open house on the 2nd of June. And the theme for that will be customer service. So I encourage everybody to show up, and our much awaited charter ceremony on the 16th of June. So lots happening with Notary Masters, and I hope you guys will all see you all on Thursday. NotaryMasters.org.
Thank you, Daniel. Got it. And guys, you'll get emails from me, of course, on all of those events as we get a little bit closer. Toastmasters is a game changer for your business. Check it out for free on Thursday. I posted the link inside Patricia, it starts at 9:30 a.m. specific, but the doors open at 9 for networking with your fellow peers. Steve-O, thank you so much for, oh, I'm sorry, Debbie. Sorry, Steve-O, we'll come right to you. Debbie from California, thanks for being here. How can we help?
Hi, thank you for taking my questions. I'm from Northern California, and Laura already dealt with the question I had about smoking and how to handle that. I was at a non-notary event and met a gentleman who sells insurance. And he told me that he just wrote an E&O policy for somebody because the E&O insurance from NNA does not cover loan signing agents. And I was quite shocked to hear that. I haven't had a chance to call NNA yet, but do you know anything about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Debbie. Luckily, we get a chance to talk about this quite often here on TNT. So the Merchants Bonding Insurance Policy from National Notary Association covers your notarial acts with tail coverage. So if you ever stop being a notary, you still have coverage later. The additional, so that means it does not cover other things that might happen in the course of your business. If you want coverage above and beyond your notarial acts, then it's like it's a professional liability insurance, additional insurance, sometimes for signing agents, but it would cover whatever other professional errors you might make that way. Laura, do you have any more insight on that too, in your experience?
No, I think you described it perfectly right. Regardless of whether you're doing specialty work, general work, loan signing work, it doesn't matter. The notarizations are always covered with that E&O policy, regardless of the hat you think you're wearing. What it doesn't cover is those things outside of notarization. And if you want that, like I have a liability policy because I have an office where people can come in, and if somebody fell and broke their leg, I'd need to make sure I have that kind of coverage. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any other, because really the most important thing I'm doing is notarizing. That's my highest risk right there.
Really, so
But
Debbie, it comes down to just whether or not it's individual risk tolerance.
Yeah.
So the minimum requirement for the industry is the one that the National Notary Association sells. That's the $25,000 minimum, $100,000 if you're going escrow direct, sometimes a little bit more. That's all anybody's ever going to ask you for. Whether or not you want additional insurance just comes down to what you can handle. Does that make sense?
And then I am a new member of NBB, and I don't know, should I start with Tom? Should I start with Notary Assist? I don't know where to begin entering information.
Awesome. So Debbie, have you been to an orientation call yet?
No.
That's where I would start.
Yeah.
So that's on Mondays at 4 p.m. your time. And I know that one just passed, but we've got the replay always available for you. But in fact, can you shoot me a text, Debbie, and we'll get you on, we'll just have a private conversation. We'll get you on the right track so you can be making some progress. And then I want you to show up to Monday's orientation or watch the replay.
Okay.
Sound good?
All right. Thank you.
You have my cell phone number?
I think I do.
All right, beautiful. Shoot me a text.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Debbie. Any other questions?
That was it.
All right, welcome to NBB.
Thank you.
All right, Steve-O, now it's your turn. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you both for doing this. I'm from Pennsylvania. I just had two quick questions. One was, I took the state-specific course with Laura on Pennsylvania. It was a few months ago. And I think I remember it not being available for rewatch. I was wondering if in the future that's ever going to change, just because when I took it, I was just getting into the specialty. I've been a signing agent since last year, but it's like now 2 months later, I'm like, man, I wish I would have taken it now because there's so much more questions that I could have asked and actually know. So I was just seeing if that was going to be available at some point in the future.
Yeah, Laura, what do you think?
Well, two things. One, the replay is reserved for MBB members, so that is one way to get access to that if you're an NBB member. The other thing is, why don't you book a call with me on my website and let's talk about what it is you need to know, because it may or may not be within that context of that video. And let's see what I can do for you.
Okay, great. And then my second question was for both of you or either one. And I know I've only been marketing for, and this is just without any paid advertising through Google or anything, but just going to places, nursing homes, and handing out cards just for about a month now, just for my own business, I guess, that I started as just for myself. And I'm not getting any hits yet. And I know it's only been a month, but I was just wondering in your personal experience, like when you started, or how long did it take for you to actually see traction from the marketing efforts you were doing without specifically paying $500 or $1,000 or whatever through Google or Facebook or anything like that?
Yeah, a great question. So that's easy for me because I never paid for advertising, Steve-O, in that way. And I know Laura's going to have some good feedback, so I'll give you a short burst of what I did for like in my like nursing homes and things like that. I actually volunteered one Saturday a month, so it actually did a lot more than any pop-in would have done for me in that regard, because it gave the staff a chance to get to know, like, and trust me. Plus I was delivering value, feeling good, and I met all the residents in many of those facilities as well. And then word spread relatively quickly, especially in the chain facilities. And I can't remember the name of it, but there's a few of those that have chains. So they have like 7 locations here in the Valley. Their employees communicated with each other, and it kind of took off like wildfire that way. The other thing is I learned really quickly. Well, I guess I've never learned anything quickly. It always took a little, like, just stubborn, just doing the same old thing. The dropping off of business cards and the dropping off of flyers stuff just never seemed to take off for me. It wasn't until I took control of the communication that everything changed. When I would check in or stay in touch, send a text message, send an email, I'd have to remind myself, because back then I didn't have anything for email campaigns. So I just send them an email to check in, add value, how you doing, what's going on, just keep myself top of mind with them. That's when everything started changing. Laura, what do you say?
I just want to make sure I was unmuted. So I've never paid for social media ads, Google ads, any of that either. I volunteered for hospice, which got me a lot of play in my community. And then in the, I participated in health fairs that they did for seniors. And that got me some connections as well. And then I did a lot of education, which means I offered my expertise as a notary so that I could help them have successful notarizations in a hospital environment the first time, which was a problem. Oops, which was a problem because the social services people didn't really know what was required, and they would either give misinformation or not enough information. And sometimes I didn't get a second chance with repairing that. So I offered an in-service 10-15 minutes about what's needed so that it's successful. And as a matter of fact, that PowerPoint, as well as a one-sheet summary, is on my website as a downloadable if you want to use it and modify it and brand it as your own. I've shared it. You could reach out. I reached out while I was there, but I did try a couple of letters with, and the thing is, maybe if you sent a letter and you sent something with it, not just your business card, but perhaps the summary sheet that said, hey, feel free to use this so that your staff helps their customers. Patients are really customers for them. Have a good experience should they need an outside notary coming in.
So thank you guys both. Oh, sorry, keep going.
I was going to say, and one other thing is interviewing for pain points in their facility. So what causes issues when an outside vendor like a notary comes in? Are we interfering with shift change? Are we interfering with meal time? Are we not checking in or following their house rules for outsiders, so that you don't do those things? You know what they are, and you can communicate that in your communications about understanding the difficulties of executing a treatment plan and having somebody coming in the middle of that, and how we blend our services.
Gotcha. And just real quick, thank you guys both again very much. And then how would that conversation look like without coming across that you're just trying to volunteer, specifically for the volunteer part? Because I think I had heard about you saying volunteer for hospice or nursing centers, but how would you go in and approach them without making it sound like, hey, I'm just trying to volunteer here, so eventually you gain my business? And also, Bill, the podcast is awesome. Thank you.
Oh, hey, thanks for bringing that up, Steve. I want to talk about that in a second. But okay, so I think you asked a really great question. And this isn't specifically directed at you, Steve, of course, or anybody else, but I think if you're going to volunteer, there has to be a level of authenticity with it. If it's not in your nature to volunteer or to give back to that particular situation or demographic or whatever it is, I don't recommend doing it. If you only want to do something if the volunteering in and of itself is enough, because that's what's going to come through. If you're there as a marketing technique, they're going to feel it. So I don't recommend doing that. I don't know if there's anything else I could say on that. So
like I had thought about volunteering specifically, like Laura had said, because I had seen on one of her other calls about hospice, just because it's probably something, it's just good, I think, to do. But even that, like I've never dealt with anything like that specifically. So how would you even, I guess, I don't want to say get used to, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm wording it correctly, but
like just the flow of the conversation.
Yeah. I just meant actually working with those type of clients in that situation, or a family that's dealing with something like that. And, you know, I could say that as far as the conversation, but I don't know how to come across with saying that.
Well, for me, I'm sorry, Laura, go ahead.
I just want to say about hospice in particular, one, when I approached them, it wasn't to sell them anything. It was to offer free service. Number one. Number two, when they were excited, like, oh, we can have a free notary who could go out to people's homes end of days. They said, okay, but you have to go through the same training that any hospice volunteer might have to go through. And I went through 8 hours of training, meaning what to do when I go in their house, what to avoid, what not to say, all of the bedside manner. They go through 8 hours of training so that you are prepared to walk into that kind of environment.
That's awesome.
Gotcha. Yeah. Thank you guys very much.
That's really helpful. And then Steve-O, as far as the conversation with the staff goes, at like a nursing facility or like a extended care, or not even extended care, just we call them nursing homes out here. So, but they're independent living centers. So they can kind of do their own thing. They're on site. My grandmother called hers the cruise ship. Everything was included, food, drink, everything. But the conversation was really, I'm a notary and I know there's people here who need a notary. Can I come in for 3 hours on a Saturday each month and donate my time? It's absolutely, well, it's usually yes. And there's usually a little bit of a process, an application, then do like a criminal background check, and then you're good to go.
And I'd like to add to that, Bill, that because I actually charge people now for doing that service, I did do it for free for a long time, is that it's okay. I mean, to have that as a line of business, as long as you're giving value back. And so by helping with events, and so they're always looking for activities. And so you could come in and do an informational activity, and you bring in food and you educate them about something. And that's why you're there. You're not there to sell your service. You're just there to provide some kind of activity. They love that. And that is a way to start getting to know people without saying, hey, I'm here, I'm a notary, and I can come out here for a certain amount of money. Focus on building the relationship part and bringing value first, and the other part will follow.
So thanks both.
And you know, Laura, there's some really creative notaries in our community, and they've really taken that suggestion to a whole other level. They've partnered with financial planners, attorneys, and they make it part of their
Yeah.
I think they're doing quarterly or even monthly
Mhm.
little workshops in these independent living centers to bring
Yeah.
value to the community.
Mhm.
And guess what? Everybody always remembers that. That was the weird thing. Like I would give 3 hours of time. I'd be there for notarization. Maybe I'd get one or two. Sometimes it was crazy, like
Yeah.
certain deadlines that were happening. But then my phone would ring nonstop all month because people just need a notary when they need a notary. They can't always wait to the first Saturday of the month for the free one, or they need some additional services,
Right.
or they need me to go to their spouse who's in a rehab center or whatever it might
Mhm.
be. So great question, Steve-O.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew's iPad's here. How's it going?
Before
Yep.
Andrew starts speaking, I'm going to need to go, so get ready to take on the second half of class. So it's been great to join you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Laura. Appreciate it. And just for those of you who might be joining late, Laura is doing the Colorado Real World Training this Saturday, May 7th at 9 a.m. Colorado time. The link to purchase is in the chat, coachmelaura.com/CO. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, Bill, it's Andy. And this is my part 2 question from last week. Last week, I asked you and Laura about, I had a 98-year-old signer who was going to be selling some property, and just some of the questions to ask for alertness. And you guys had some really good suggestions there. So I did the signing. The 98-year-old signer, by the way, was alert, even kind of feisty with her daughter and all that. So here's my question. Because I can see this could translate into the healthcare side. She was, in a hospital bed in her home. Her daughter was there with her, and her daughter filled out some of the information forms, and then she signed. And she just had a stroke, so she was signing with her other hand. So, her signature was not what her normal signature was, but her daughter signed for her. In the case of that,
can you just clarify that last sentence you just said? Her daughter signed for her.
I'm sorry.
Just
her daughter filled out the
it
form.
out. She signed it. Okay.
Yeah. And so she filled out the forms. If you're in a situation like that, where you're in a hospital or whatever, and the patient, the signer, is not in a position to fill out forms like that, they can, at their best, maybe do the signing. Should we fill out any of that information only? What would be your thoughts on that?
As the notary, no.
Yeah.
You should avoid doing that at all costs. Whether she can have anybody else in the world do that for her.
A nurse or somebody like that.
Well, if you can find a nurse willing to do that, or a family member, or somebody else in the room, but the notary should not do that. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, that's and I had her daughter fill that out, and then I actually had at the bottom of the form, I had her daughter write that she was the one who completed that information, and I logged her into my book with her ID and all that stuff too. So, all right, good to know.
You just made a note in your journal about that?
I did. I made a note that her daughter was the one who filled out the forms, and
perfect.
All that, and she actually was the one who wrote. Her daughter was the one who wrote down at the bottom of the form, yeah, I completed this for my mother. I'm her daughter, blah, blah, blah. And when I took it back to the escrow agent or officer was happy with it. She's like, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great.
So, all right. Thanks for that validation there.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing that back full circle. Good to see you, Andy. Kim, how's it going?
Good. Hey, just real quick, I had a major Brother printer repair problem, and Brother referred me to their official local Brother printer repair person. And it turns out they sell toner cartridges that are made in the United States that they guarantee 100%. I've only used Brother toners and Brother drums, but they are the official Brother repair people and they stand behind it. And so if anybody's interested, I posted it in the chat and I'll repost it, but I just got the highest yield equivalent of the Brother TN 880 toner cartridge for $39. And I had just got through paying 108 with, and that was 30% off at Staples Advantage.
Wow.
And they also have a DR 820 drum unit for $49. And I just got through paying 116 at 30% off with Staples Advantage. So I'll post it in here. They said they will ship it. If you order one thing, the shipping's about $10. If you order more than one, they said they wouldn't charge for shipping, and they back it 100%. So I'll put it in there if anybody's interested or comfortable with it, but there you go.
That is good to know. I know
Yes.
saving money right now is on everybody's mind. So thanks for sharing that, Kim.
Yeah, and because they're official Brother people and they just did a great job cleaning my printer, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable because my Brother cartridge exploded. So there you go.
Awesome. You know what, Kim? I always love all the information you find. I don't know how you do that, but you've got a gift for finding the coolest stuff and the best of deals. So thank you so much for sharing that.
I love to share. We all help each other. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right. Thanks. Good to see you. LaTanya Middleton, welcome. Where are you from and how can we help?
Hello. Hey, Bill. Hey, everyone. I am from New Jersey. I just wanted to share, I don't really have a question, but I know earlier Steve was talking about the nursing homes and stuff. And I just had a funny story because someone actually, I guess, was marketing at a nursing home in my area. And I'm assuming they dropped off a business card or something, but the nursing home misplaced it. So they Googled the Notary and I was the first one that came up. And they asked, oh, were you the one that was here last week? And I'm like, no, it wasn't me. I just wanted to say, I know he said he's been doing it for a month, but that's just a sign that you have to follow up because there's other notaries coming in after you. And sometimes they may misplace, your marketing material. So, but I also wanted to say as well, because today I did do a power of attorney at a nursing home. And I just wanted to emphasize, I know Laura is going now, but I know she would feel this topic, like the importance of like knowing your state law, because today I was, doing a power of attorney and they said I was a second notary. They happened to go to the bank, with the power of attorney to get something taken care of, and the bank went and accepted because they didn't have the witnesses. So luckily they was able to contact me and, the father is still alive, but God forbid that was a document that was, that was going to be used after he passed away. So I just wanted to say, just emphasize on the importance of knowing your state law, because apparently the previous notary didn't know that 2 witnesses are required, for power of attorneys. She left me like a raving review, but it's just, touching just to like our stamp, what we do out here. It may seem like it's a piece of paper, but those 2 witnesses could have jeopardized a lot of things in that family, had that person passed away before they went to use that document. So I just wanted to share that, especially since we're talking about, nursing homes and stuff like that. But yeah, that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is so important, right? And Laura was kind of hinting around that a little bit when she was talking about how to market to these and bring value to these medical facilities, because sometimes if you make a mistake, you don't get a chance. You don't get a second chance because they're in dire straits sometimes. We meet people on their best days and their worst days. So we have to know our stuff to bring the maximum value. Thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it. All right, we've got a couple more minutes. I just want to remind everybody, Phil Shannon, 5 minutes after this call ends, is going to run his special webinar as well. And the link to join that is at notarycoach.com/TNT. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of that, the Zoom link's right in there so you can join Phil. Cynthia, great to see you here. I see you're in Texas. How can we help?
I actually was going to let Phil go ahead of me because I know he needs to do that. So if that's okay, he can go ahead.
Phil, what do you think? Phil's on mute. Still on mute.
Gotta unmute, Phil.
All right, he's just waving. All right, Cynthia, you got one chance.
Okay. I had a question about Ron, like the first 2 or 3 things that I need to do to get started is what I wanted to know. Like, I know you got to get a digital certificate, and so I was trying to see what needs to be done before I do that.
In Texas, so this is going to be state specific. So have you looked at your state statutes for remote online notarization yet?
A little bit, being honest.
Yeah, no, well, I would start there because,
Okay.
Or find somebody in Texas who can specifically walk you through that, because every state's a little bit different. But the digital certificate's going to be important, and then you're going to need a platform. And in Texas, you've got some fairly loose rules for that, but one of the ones I've been most impressed with is Amy Sykes over at Cyberize It. And then, if anybody here is in Texas as well, and you've got a platform for remote online notarization that you love, I would love it if you type that into the chat for Cynthia so she can check that out. What you have to do, Cynthia, is make a decision about what kind of platform you want to do. How do you want your remote online business to work?
Brother Toner per TNT chat.
Let's see, let's keep you guys muted here. Sorry. Because they're different platforms, some platforms will drive traffic to you. So you'll schedule your time from like 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and you sit in front of a computer and you wait for notarization leads to come in and you take care of them. And then they pay you a certain amount for that. And then if you want control, like your own business, you want to go out and get your own business, you have a different platform for doing that. So that's the decision that you have to make when you choose your platform.
Okay. All right.
Have you checked out Ron University yet?
No, I have not. That's John Holder, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
At Ron University, he at least interviews all the different platform officials and gives you a demo of them so you can kind of get a feel for what you're getting into. Plus the notaries here in this group, a personal recommendation is what drives most of my buying behavior, right? If somebody says, hey, this is awesome, you should try this, that's where I'm going to start. And then I can kind of figure it out from there. So you might have some great suggestions in the chat window there for you, Cynthia. And as a reminder, guys, if you want to save the chat, you can do so. If you're on a computer, you can just click the 3 dots and hit save chat. Cynthia, I know that wasn't very detailed, but any help at all?
Yes, you're fine. Thank you.
All right, you got it. Thanks for being here, guys. We're 2 minutes past the hour. I'll let you go. I want to respect your time. Thank you for growing yourself and your business on a Tuesday. We'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.